Now, Colombia has walked back from the brink of a trade war with the United States and is sending its own planes to pick up Colombian migrants that had crossed into the United States. Now, President Trump threatened immediate 25% tariffs after Colombian President Gustavo Petro blocked U.S. military flights carrying migrants on Sunday. Within hours, the two sides were able to come to an agreement. Now, the episodes, of course, is sending a warning to other countries. Colombia has a long and good relationship with the United States, and other allies may find themselves in the crosshairs. Donald Trump has, of course, threatened a 25% tariff on goods from Canada and Mexico. The Peterson Institute warns that measure could wipe 2% off Mexico's growth rate, and it could lower Canada's GDP by some $100 billion. Jean Charest is a former Deputy Prime Minister of Canada and a member of the newly formed Council on Canada-U.S. Relations, advising Canada on how best to counter the American tariff threat. It is good to speak with you again and good to see you.
Thank you, Paula.
You and I both know there are two ways we can play this, right? You can be transactional. You can go along to get along, even if the Trump administration does impose these tariffs. And then there's the theory that the best way is, look, pound the table, be tough. Which are you advising to the Canadian government right now?
Well, the Canadian government, Paula, is going to be tough and will respond in kind if the American administration does a 25% tariffs. I mean, there will be a strong response. It'll be as robust as what the American administration put in front of us, and we will defend our interests. But as we do that, Paula, we also, we want to work with our American neighbor. We've always done that. It's in our mutual interest to do that. And by the way, Canadians understand the difference between elected officials of the United States, Mr. Trump and his administration, and the American people, with whom Canadians just have an outstanding relationship on a day-to-day basis.
It doesn't seem to matter to President Trump, no matter how much goodwill there is across the table or his good friendship with Wayne Gretzky, the Canadian hockey star. But I want to ask you, because you've been in this position before as Premier of Quebec, do you believe energy should be put on the table in terms of a counter tariff? So it doesn't mean necessarily blocking energy, but you, the current Premier of Quebec right now, Monsieur Legault, could cut electricity to the very corner of Manhattan that I'm sitting in right now, or just impose another tariff on it.
Paula, everything is going to be on the table. I doubt that you'll hear Canadian officials talk about what they intend to do until they actually do it, which is the way that we're going to manage this situation. In the case of energy, it is a huge relationship. You consume 20 million barrels of oil every day. You produce 13 million. Canada supplies you with 4 million. You have a deficit. We supply America with 60% of the foreign oil they consume. Almost all of the foreign natural gas comes from Canada. Hydroelectricity is part of that. There's no one, though, Paul, who's been out there saying we're going to cut it off. But there are other options on how we could deal with energy to be able to make our point. We wouldn't want to do that, but if we have to make our point, we will.
And it is a point that many have been making, and yet it doesn't seem to be getting through. Most believe that President Trump will levy tariffs in some form. I wanted to hear from you, as I know how much you deal with this, about how this is affecting business between the three countries, right, that already have, I'll say, a trade deal in place, one that the first Trump administration negotiated. I mean, orders aren't being placed, investments are being sidelined. Do you see it having an effect?
I work for a law firm here in Montreal. Yes, uncertainty does create a chill in investment. That being said, we have an administration that has a real dilemma. Mr. Trump says he wants a growth agenda of reducing taxes, reducing regulations, cutting government, the size of government, and he has a tariff policy, Paula, that is exactly the contrary of that. The tariff policy will increase the cost of living, inflation, and interest rates. Sorry.
In terms of what you would advise leaders going forward, whether it's Canada, Mexico, or the EU allies are also on notice here, how to best deal with Donald Trump. Everybody famously says that he's transactional and he needs a win, and yet this administration, the second time around, seems different.
We know Donald Trump. We saw him operate in his first mandate. We understand that it's different in the second mandate, by the way, that he's much more in a hurry to do a number of things, more adept at dealing with the administrative issues he has to deal with. That being said, we're going to deal with this situation with a great deal of firmness. And we have some of the things that the United States needs very badly and can't get elsewhere. That includes energy. It includes nuclear, for example, uranium. It includes strategic minerals. It includes a lot of food stuff, things like potash, Laura, that is key to the American agricultural sector. Every farmer in the United States should have a very hard look at a tariff on potash, because this is certainly not a good idea if you want to be able to operate your farm at a reasonable cost. So there's a whole series of things on which we depend on each other. And if Mr. Trump chooses to go down this route, well, so be it. We will be there to respond.
And we will leave it there for now. Jean Charest for us, live from Montreal. Appreciate it.